Hi everyone, this is a crash course for Forest Pro within 3dsmax. So I will be giving you guys some hints and tips with regards to the effective usage of Forest Pro. And by the end of this video, you should be up and running with the basic usage of Forest Pro within your projects. So let's get started. So here we have a basic scene set up here. All the assets are available on Cosmos, but I do have all of these surfaces as separate objects. We also have some spline objects here. So for example, the spline flower, spline for flower, spline for bush, and spline for trees. So in my opinion, this is probably the best way to start working with Forest Pro. Just use splines. Splines are your best friends. Here we have some basic models. So we got 3 teams here. So this is a tree team, this is a bush team, and this is the flower team. So starting off, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the stuff that I don't want. So for example, if you want to hide all the cameras in your scene, you just do Shift C, and if you do that again, Shift C again, you can toggle on and off all the cameras in your scene. So that's a helpful tip. Same thing goes with the lights. So Shift and L. Once you do that, it's going to hide all the bits, all the lights within your scene, so you can easily concentrate on the stuff that matters. So first thing we need to do is Forest Pro can be accessed from Itoo software, under Itoo software in the Create panel, Forest Pro here. And the quickest way to do it is pretty much just grab all the bits that you want to populate and then go into Forest Pro and then say populate from selection. Keep the icon mode on. So once you do that, you just literally drag out the icon and let go. So it's going to take a while to set up the whole Forest Pro for us. Once you've done that, go into the modify panel, and here you can see all of our objects listed in the geometry section. So whereas before you would have to just manually add geometry and then pick geometry and then rename it. So this is the quickest way of getting about it. And then what we can do is we can then say, hey, we want these flowers to be populated on a spline. So that's the first option here. So once you do that, pick your spline, which is this one, and then go into your surfaces tab and then assign a surface. So for example, we got this surface here. We're just going to assign it, and still we can see that we don't see anything happening. That's because our distribution is just way too high. So let's just drop that down and we can instantly see some movement. For example, 3000 millimeters or 3 meters usually works quite well. So for example, in the areas tab, I can go here and I can increase the thickness of the spline. So for example, the thickness is pretty much going to be in this area. How far away do you want the objects to populate from the center of the spline? So usually 100 mil should be enough. And the other bit you can see here is the proxies are currently, or the viewport proxies are currently appearing as pyramids. So you can easily change that by just going to proxy and just either going to planes, pyramids, or even point clouds. Now the problem with point clouds is it looks, it gives you a really good representation of what the final thing is going to look like, but that it doesn't work really well with the with interactive rendering, especially in the viewport interactive rendering. So my suggestion is always to stick to proxy objects like pyramids or something along those lines, because it's going to be lower cost for your GPU. So once you do that, the other bit you can probably do is, let's add a bit of a variation. For example, a transform, you can keep all the default values as they are, they work great. So rotation, translation, rotation, and scale. So that's going to give you nice variation. And once that's done, the other more important bit is, for example, you can see there's quite a lot going on here. And we don't want all the plants just intersecting each other, otherwise it's just going to look too messy. So what we can probably do is enable the collisions right here, and also enable preview in viewport. So as soon as we do that, the radius is currently set to 100. So anything within the 100% radius of an instance is gonna disable it. So, which is too much for us basically. So what we can do is we can probably go for something like 45%. That's usually a good number. So now we get something like this. So if you want to do like a quick preview, you can enable the vray viewport IPR. Takes a while to set up, but once it's done, it's currently building the cache. Okay, there we go. Another bit. So as we can see here, yeah, our flowers are populating the way they should be. The red ones are a little bit lower, but you can change the probability as well. So it is quite extensible in that regards. So I've currently set up a hotkey for enabling and disabling the viewport IPR, which is currently Alt-C, as it just provides a really quick way of seeing what you're doing. So these are our flowers. The next thing we can do is we can go towards the bushes. Just select the bushes, same method. Going to Forest Pro and say populate from selection. We got 3 objects selected and icon mode. So as soon as you draw that, it's gonna think for a little bit. And once you do that, it's the same story. You can drop the density down to 3000, and then in the areas you can do again the spline, which is this one here, and the thickness you can just go to like 50 mil. And moving forward, you also enable the collisions, 45 with the magic number. And within surfaces, you need to assign a particular surface, which is this one. This is where we want it to populate. And in the transform, you can enable rotation, translation, and scale. And now you can just do quick render, see how everything is looking. It's gonna take a while. All right, there we go. So these are our bushes. And the good thing about it is you can easily, everything's connected to this spline. So wherever this spline goes, it's gonna populate everything there. So that's the beauty of this system. It's like completely procedural. You don't have to move anything around, and you can concentrate on your creative side of things. Okay, let's move on to the trees. We'll do the same thing. 3 objects selected, icon mode. Let's just draw it here. Just gonna speed up this bit. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Probably 5 meter should be enough. And also enable collisions, 45. And surface, we want it to be on this surface. Because if we don't do that, it's just going to be on 0 axis, which we don't want. So it's connected to surface. Also transformation, which we like. And then finally in the areas tab, we can then do we just increase that to 300. Probably a good number. And if you want to do a quick preview, just make sure to go into display. Let's enable point cloud, see where everything's going. You can see the smaller trees, and you can see the big trees as well populating. And what you can also do is you can change the probability of which tree you want more of. For example, orange trees are so everything's currently set to 100. So what we can do is we can just reduce the probability of all the other ones. We can have more of the orange trees now. So again, it's completely up to you how you wanna. So you can also disable some trees completely as well, which gives you complete control over how you want the whole thing to be populated. Right, so once that's done, let's do a quick preview, see how everything's looking. And this is what I meant with regards to the point clouds. Once the point clouds are enabled, it doesn't work well in the viewport IPR. So it's always best to switch to proxies. And now we can see exactly what's happening in the viewport. All right, so we got our nice trees lining up. There is one bit I don't like. I think they're quite a bit wonky. So what we can probably do is go into transform. Oh, sorry, not transform, rotation, yes. So put the X and Y to 0. So that way all these trees are always going to be straight. And that's going to give us pretty good result. Oh, there we go. Trees are all straightened now. The trick is not to get overwhelmed by the amount of options that you have here. Another trick is normally by default 3dsmax would be like this. So, but that doesn't work really well because, you know, the amount of settings that you have in forest objects is quite immense, and you have quite a lot of control over what you want, well, or what you can do. So it's always better to actually work in 2 tabs like that. And that's just my way of working, and you have all this usable area here in the tabs that you can use. The other helpful tip is this bit here, which is the forest stats window. That actually shows you exactly what's happening in each forest object. For example, in this one we have 17 items visible in the viewport, and we have 17 items that will be rendered. And it also shows you, you know, how many collisions are happening and how many objects it discarded due to the collisions. So it's quite helpful. I use that quite a bit for debugging different issues. Now, this was the setup for just doing like custom models. Forest Pro also comes with really nice looking presets, which I will be getting into now. So in order to do that, you just disable the populate from selection button, and also turn to generate, and then go into the library section. Here you have tons of libraries that you can probably use in your projects, and they're literally good to go. They look really nice, and yeah, you don't have to necessarily, you might have to just do a bit of a color correction to them, but apart from that, they're just perfect. So here, what we can do now is we can probably, let's say, yeah, we can probably go for something like this. Although I wanted a cut grass, but we can switch to that. Actually, let's go with this one. So we got it selected. It's got one model selected here, and then what we do is just we literally click and accept all these settings, and boom, good to go. Right. Before we move forward, what I'll do is I'm just gonna tidy up a little bit here. I'm gonna push all the forest objects here so that I don't confuse myself. Number 4 is the grass. So let's do a quick render to see what's happening. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we got our nice grass growing, which looks good, but we have an issue. So the issue is, you can see the grass is sort of like creeping, and it's not cutting nicely through the edges. But we want the grass to end right at the edge. So a trick to do that is you go here, select the forest object, then going to modify panel. And here, edge, boundary checking. It's currently in the areas tab. There's a term called boundary checking. So you put that to edge. As soon as you do that, look at how beautiful it looks now. Much more cleaner. Yeah, that's probably the best way of getting clean edges around corners or curved edges. Okay, so this is our, as you can see, it was like it's like a one-click solution for getting a really nice looking grass, and everything works out of the box. Now the second thing we can do, I'm just going to make my layer as default so that everything I create now is going to jump on this layer. Second thing we can do is we can also do mulch. Mulch is one thing I use quite a bit from the library. It just works. You don't have to reinvent the wheel on that. So go into the mulch, you got all of these options here. I always try to use the Bark Natural Light. I think that works really well. So, and then you just click on it. It's okay. Takes a little bit of a while, and then boom, there you have it. And for this one, as you can see, it hasn't populated on this area because this object was not included in the surface tab. So we can go down to the surfaces, and then we can just add this area to the surface. And now we got beautiful looking mulch. So let's do a quick render to see what's happening. Just need to give it a little bit of a while. Okay. So we got our mulch happening, but it's the same issue with the boundary checking. So we're just going to do the same thing for this one as well. Just making sure everything is nice and tidy. Just switch it to edge, and boom, everything looks nice now. Now you can push all the objects down a little bit as well if you want. The easiest way to do that is in the geometry section, and just select all of the geometry objects we just created. And we can then do a Z offset by, let's say, -5 millimeters. There we go. Or even -10. Okay, so it's gonna start eating through it. So yeah, probably -3 millimeter should be enough. Okay, perfect. So now we got our mulch ready, we got our grass ready, and let's just do a quick render on after we just enable everything else. And I'm gonna switch over to the camera mode. And now let's do production render. Okay, so that just took over 4 minutes to render. I don't blame it, because there's quite a bit of a detail going on in there. We can see a few issues here which we can sort out quite easily by just going here, selecting this line, and making sure we just drag it out, drag it inwards slightly. There we go. And we're just going to do a quick re-render again. Let's make sure we got that bit sorted. Perfect. Okay, that's pretty much it. Any questions? Just put them in the comment section below, and subscribe for more. See ya.